Welcome to BBC London. Coming up on this budget day, millions for Canary Wharf and housing in East London, but disappointment among the capital's hospitality industry and local councils. What about Londoners? How are they feeling?
I think that's positive, although I think that that's kind of minimum of what they can do at the moment.
It's not a lot, is it? No, it's just not going to be enough.
All they've done is take away, in my opinion, the money from the NHS, which is in dire need of support.
We'll look at the impact the budget could have on you, also on the programme. London Fire Brigade is taken out of special measures but admits there's still more to do to change the culture. Plus, the family history unearthed at Ali Pali after a long-lost photo was spotted by a relative on this programme. And
make some noise for Gets!
I chat to Londoner and rapper Gets about winning awards and playing to a London crowd. Good evening to you. Thanks for joining us. So the Chancellor's delivered his budget with a raft of measures which could have an impact here in the capital and on you. Along with changes to national insurance and child benefit, there was money for housing in East London and money for the National Theatre. But London's local councils say they're disappointed their concerns over their budgets have not been addressed. Our political editor, Tim Donovan, was watching the announcements keenly and joins us from Westminster now. Hi, Tim.
Hi, Riz. Yeah, alongside that reduction in national insurance, the government says it's doing other things to help London too. Let's take the Household Support Fund, a fund that local councils used last year, £140 million to help the vulnerable. It's being extended, albeit only for the next 6 months. Then there's this change to child benefit, raising the threshold to 60,000. So that point now at which you no longer can claim child benefit. It was 50,000. And then a specific arts funding infrastructure announcement, 26 million to the National Theatre to help renovate its stages. And on top of that, there was a significant regeneration investment announcement. Canary Wharf and Barking Riverside housing to share £250 million. Canary Wharf to ease the transition from a finance centre to make it a specialist life sciences centre, and Barking Riverside getting money to help build more affordable homes there. Not enough money, the local council will say, but the government is saying this shows its commitment to levelling up, and that levelling up can involve London too.
There's always opportunity for more private investment, and we'll work with the mayor and indeed the local councils in order to achieve that. The government knows that it needs to support Canary Wharf, support its transformation, support the people there, many of whom are in deprived circumstances, and I'm very, very proud to be part of a government and part of a treasury that's doing that.
Riz London, as a tech centre, also got a boost. The Chancellor says it could become the next Silicon Valley. It's going to be easier for pension funds to invest in that here in the capital. There are also measures which will make it more difficult to run holiday lets in places like Westminster, where I am, and ensure there's more long-term rental housing. Now, the local council welcomes that, but says overall there's really nothing to ease the pressures councils are under.
Ultimately, this is a failure of government that is affecting all of local government across London and across the country. You've seen a whole range of places in really deep financial difficulty because of the pressures that's been placed on them. And you know, it's not very good for the government to try and just pass the buck down to local government as they have been doing for the last 14 years.
And Tim, we know budgets aren't just about the pound in our pocket, they're also about politics, especially in an election year.
Yeah, and the Chancellor didn't waste an opportunity here, taking a swipe at the current Mayor of London as he announced he was going to be freezing yet again fuel duty.
The Labour Mayor of London wants to punish motorists even more with his ULEZ plans, but lots of families and sole traders depend on their car. If I did nothing, fuel duty would increase by 13% this month.
The View from City Hall, disappointment that this is a budget, it says it doesn't really tackle cost of living pressures. There's nothing in there about new infrastructure for the capital. It's not addressing the shortage of cash the Metropolitan Police is facing. But as to the hospitality sector, so important in the capital, how do they feel about this? Tara's been finding out.
Most in hospitality will tell you what a challenge the last few years have been. Leslie works for several bars across the capital. They've introduced special events like a garage bingo to try to boost trade.
I think where everyone's suffering is that sort of Monday to Thursday market, so your midweek market seems to really suffered. It's not, so I guess before people would finish work and say, oh, let's go out, let's go for a drink, let's go for something to eat. And that seems as though people are being more calculated in how they spend the money. The hospitality is the one that gets hit the first, basically. Anything goes wrong, the first thing people are going to do is kind of, you know, your enjoyment. You can cut back on that.
And the number of venues closing in the capital seem to reflect that. Recent data suggests that at the end of last year, there were 18% fewer licensed venues in London than there were just before the pandemic. But the rate of closures is much slower in central London than it is on the outskirts. We've been told that in this part of Tottenham, at least 2 hospitality businesses have closed recently. Now, today the Chancellor spoke about business confidence returning, but when you speak to people on the high street, it doesn't always feel that way. At this Nigerian tapas restaurant, they would have liked to have seen more targeted support from the Chancellor. But in the budget, we were told lowering taxes would mean higher growth.
Money back in people's pockets is obviously super helpful. You know, people across the UK have been struggling in various ways. I think that money in that people's pocket is probably not going to be initially spent on discretionary spend such as dining out. I think less so is it going to be spent on dining out in, you know, restaurants which aren't based in central locations such as neighbourhood restaurants like ourselves. So yeah, on a personal view, I think yes, again, lower taxes may lead to higher growth, but the question is, you know, to what extent and where especially.
But the government thinks extending a freeze on alcohol duty will help the industry.
We value our hospitality industry and are backing the great British pub.
For hospitality, it's quite minimal. We would like to have seen other things kind of drop in. VAT would have been amazing. Something that we had in COVID, we feel we still haven't really come out of COVID yet. So that would have been the main thing we'd been looking for.
A national insurance cut is worth £450 to the average worker, the Chancellor said. But will it make a difference?
I think it would just disappear, to be honest, in everyday spending and the bills and travelling, and it would just disappear.
I suppose there's extra savings to go on holidays and to go out and socialise more, but I think they could do a lot more.
They could have dealt the budget in a much better way and still given people who are struggling money in a different way without taking it from the national insurance.
Despite today's announcements, things are still hard for many, especially for those trying to survive in the capital's nighttime economy. Tara Welsh, BBC London.
And of course, we've plenty more on the budget and what it means for you, including analysis from our BBC correspondents. That's on BBC News Online or by using the BBC News app. The budget, that's our top story, but plenty more to come before 7, including how swans are being cleaned and cared for after a cooking oil slick on London's waterways. In other news, the London Fire Brigade has been taken out of special measures after an independent review found it was institutionally misogynist and racist. Inspectors say it has made improvements to the workplace culture, but admits there's still more to do. Our correspondent Carl Mercer has the details.
It took the death of this young man, Jaden Francois Esprit, to bring about change in London's fire brigade. The 21-year-old trainee firefighter took his own life a year into the job. He'd complained of bullying at his fire station and had been turned down when he asked for a move. Jaden's death in August 2020 led to a review into the brigade's culture, which reported back in November 2022. It found evidence of a noose being put in a black firefighter's locker of abuse of women firefighters. It was branded institutionally racist and misogynist. In December 2022, the brigade was put into special measures.
We've all got a responsibility not to just stand by and let that happen.
Inspectors went back last month, though, and have now taken it out of those special measures.
So obviously I'm really pleased that the Inspectorate has recognised the enormous effort and hard work from all our staff to just make the brigade a better place to work in. But I want to be really, really clear that doesn't mean we haven't got more to do. Jaden's death, as I said last week, was a great tragedy for the family, but a terrible shock for LFB as well. And we have done an awful lot to make sure that can never happen again to a trainee.
Is it a place now then, you think you would say to your sons, daughters, family, other people's families, come and join us?
Yes, this is the best job in the world.
Jaden's mum isn't convinced, though, that enough has changed and says she wouldn't recommend people join the brigade.
I want to be able to do that, but I don't think I can. And unfortunately, I have a lot of colleagues reach out to me from the brigade, and they also say the same thing themselves. You know, obviously you're going to get some that would, but there's a lot that wouldn't. And it's a really sad thing, actually, that is the case.
Inspectors are back to do a full report on London's fire brigade sometime later this year. Carl Mercer, BBC London.
Next, looking after our wildlife. A large slick of oil that spread over miles of London's canals and waterways last month affected a number of swans found covered in the oil. Well, 40 birds are now being looked after at a swan sanctuary in West London. Our environment correspondent Tom Edwards has more.
This swan was found with cooking oil on its feathers at Little Venice in central London. Now it's being cleaned at the Swan Sanctuary in Shepperton in Surrey. How serious is it for the birds, this oil?
Yeah, it's really serious. It can cause them lots of problems. And it's not something they can get off on their own. They have to have help getting it off, which is why we have to do this.
And then they go back, do they? They will go back eventually?
Yeah. Eventually they'll go back, but we'll have to wait for the waterways to be cleaned up before they can go back.
A few weeks ago, cooking oil was dumped into the canal near Alperton in West London from what's believed to be a kitchen for food deliveries. Contractors for the Canal and River Trust are trying to clear it up, costing the charity £10,000 a day. It has now spread right up the Grand Union Canal to Little Venice and the Paddington Basin. So far, 40 birds have been brought here to Shepperton. 10 have died.
The problem with it is it is spread so far and it's covered so many birds, particularly the little ones, things like coots, moorhens, geese, cormorants. And once they're covered in that oil, they have no waterproofing on them at all. So they're like little sponges. They soak up the water, they can drown, they get really... they don't like being on the water once they've got this oil on them, so they come off the water, which makes them really vulnerable to predators and that kind of thing. So it is a life and death situation for them, really.
So far, there have been no prosecutions of those who dumped the oil. And while it may not be toxic, the charity says the oil does still have a devastating impact on wildlife. Tom Edwards, BBC London.
Now to recognising those who go the extra mile to make a difference where you live. And we need your help on this. Time is running out for your nominations for this year's BBC Radio London Make a Difference Awards. Last year we met some incredible people from across our communities, hearing amazing stories of everyday acts of kindness. And this year we're doing it all over again. Before I chat to my colleague and host Eddie Nestor, check out some of last year's winners.
So many huge hearts in this room.
Well, I want to thank God for being here today. It's just a blessing.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
What I do from the bottom of my heart. I cook for over 500-600 homeless people. I don't want anybody around me to go without, especially food.
He's taken something that was really sad and taken, positive action. So I hope he'll inspire other young children.
I'm beyond proud of myself.
Oh.
I don't get paid to go into schools. I do it out of the love of my heart and the passion that I have. When we talk and we have honest conversations around knife crime and mental health, they really do open up, and it does bring another perspective, and it does change their mindset about carrying a knife and making those crucial decisions.
Still gets me every time. BBC Radio London presenter Eddie Nestor joins me. Hi, Eddie. Things can feel quite heavy right now, so it's even more reason to recognise people and the incredible efforts of Londoners, because that's what it's all about.
I think so. Through the pandemic, and we're approaching the 4th anniversary, you could see real tough times. But then you would get stories of people who were, I don't know, delivering shopping, doing gardens, picking litter, caring for other people. And we decided to make it a thing, and it's brilliant, you know, and it works completely against some of those tougher stories we do. You were there, Riz, so you know that room.
I do.
Lots of tears.
And so humbling, and they just don't feel like they're doing anything special, and yet they absolutely are.
Yeah, but that is London. I mean, we do news, right? So often the stuff that we do is quite negative, quite challenging, but they're great people out there doing fantastic things, and we want to hear all about them.
Absolutely. Every corner of the capital.
Yes.
Tell us about the categories for anyone that doesn't know or thinks they might know somebody. Tell us about the categories.
Well, there are all sorts of categories. There are carer categories, the people who cares for the carer, the great neighbour. We've got a green award. There's one I'm taking a lot of stick for, the animal award, which has got more. I wonder
why, Eddie. I wonder why.
Because I thought it was silly, but it's got more nominations than anything else. And like we saw Tanisha there, right? And she won the Bravery Award last year. Would really like people. We know people are doing wonderful things. Please let us know.
Yeah. So 8 categories there. Just remind us how people can nominate and the deadline.
So it's fast approaching, and we need you to go onto bbc.co.uk/make-a-difference. And every one of us knows somebody who's doing their bit to make our area better in whatever way. Nominate them. Come and meet the lady off the telly. Have a chat.
Sir Eddie of Nestor, you mean?
No, but be in a room with incredibly positive people, because what it does is it makes you want to do more, and it makes you want to do better.
And actually, the start of the awards was about connections, and that's what you see.
Yeah.
When you see everyone meeting each other and getting together, and it's wonderful.
I don't know how the judges pick. I want all of them on my show, because actually...
mine.
Sorry, our show, that's New World. Doing good things for other people makes you feel better about yourself.
Yeah.
It's a good thing.
And any moments stand out for you? I know that's such a hard question, and probably...
As I got older, I've been much more aware of my mental health, and there were 2 guys on a barge, or they got guys together, because guys get to a particular age and it's quite hard to talk, and that one touched a nerve for me.
Okay. Well, I know you'll be there on the night, and as you say, we want to hear from everybody and have them as guests on our programme. But for now, Eddie, thank you very much
Thanks,
indeed.
Riz.
Thank you. And as Eddie said there, get your nominations in by this Sunday, the 10th of March at 11 p.m. So still a few days to go. In fact, that's Mother's Day as well. Go to bbc.co.uk/make-a-difference. Winners will be selected by a panel of judges, and awards will be given in each category across each local BBC radio station. So get nominating. Now, I love this. Imagine watching this programme and suddenly seeing a photo of a relative from nearly a century ago. That's what happened to Alex Fordham while he was watching a BBC London report about Alexandra Palace, or Ali Pali to us. Well, Lakshmi Gopal returned with Alex and his father to Ali Pali, where the team was able to reveal more.
You may remember this piece we did on the restoration of Alexandra Palace. Well, one particular image from it caught the eye of someone watching at home. It was this photo of boxing in the 1930s at the palace, in which viewer Alex Fordham recognised his grandfather, Harry. Alex and his father, Bo, have headed to Ali Pali to find out more.
So, Alex, this was the picture you saw in the TV report. What went through your mind when you spotted it?
Well, I saw it for probably 2 seconds, and the picture on the right, or the person on the right, was I just knew instantly it was my granddad.
Oh, there was a hell of a lot of resemblance. He's short, stocky, and that hair he had really thick hair, as you can see in this one. He had really thick hair. I've always been envious of him because of that, as you can see.
Harry Fordham was part of the palace's amateur boxing club and then returned as a trainer after the Second World War.
He had about 200 fights from about 1933, when he was 15, till the start of the war, when he was 21. his mum, she used to keep a scrapbook of him, and she got bombed out during the war because all the cuttings went up in smoke, you know. So we haven't got that many of him, but these we've managed to, these have survived, these few here.
Time to enlist someone who can dig deeper into the palace's history.
This is your dad?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It is after all these years.
Kirsten Forrest manages Alexandra Palace's collections.
The first televised boxing match would have been in 1936 at the start of the television service.
Well, I think my dad was on that programme.
Most programmes back then, unfortunately, weren't recorded. But Kirsten has managed to unearth a photo of Harry Fordham never seen before by his family.
And this looks to me to be the same.
Oh, yeah. Alex, what do you think? Definitely looks like Dad, doesn't it? Granddad?
Yeah. Generations of a family connecting with and adding context to the past. And it's hoped others will do the same.
We'd love to hear your stories and see your pictures or any sort of memorabilia that you have. And what we're doing is we're collecting those into an exhibition for our 150th anniversary, and that will celebrate all the people that have made the palace great over the years.
How does it feel seeing that your father's career is a part of Alexandra Palace's history?
Well, it's great. You are part of something, something solid, part of history, basically.
With the public's help, a rich archive is being built of its past century and a half, in keeping with its creation as the People's Palace. Laxmi Gopal, BBC London.
Brilliant. And so is this, an East London rapper now who recently won the Pioneer Award at this year's Mobos. Getz is in the middle of a UK tour and playing in London later this month, and he popped into the studio a little earlier to chat to me about what the award meant and the London crowds.
Make some noise for Getz! First and foremost, I want to thank God. The most important person in my life. I want to thank God. Every day I pray for guidance.
What does it mean to you to receive something like that?
It's amazing to be acknowledged for the work that we've put in. Normally, award shows probably give most artists and myself anxiety. You're in a category of other people who are amazing, and up until that time you hear your name or don't hear your name, it's a big anxious feeling. But for an award like the Pioneer Award, where you know that you're going to an award show and you're going to be given your flowers, it feels amazing, it feels great.
I run down the monies on Monday, my brother can't come, he's on. Beep, it's how I saw my cupcake. I only run because I'm off late.
You've been making music for 2 decades.
Don't say that. Don't say that. You're going to make me seem older than I am.
Well, you might have started as a child.
Yeah, I did. Child prodigy.
Exactly. Let's go with that. So being recognised, it wasn't overnight success. How do you reflect on that? Do you see that as perhaps you were in a better place to acknowledge it and receive it?
Yeah. I think even there was times in my life where I might have felt like it was my God-given right. Just to, do you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm talented, why not? It should, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like hindsight's 20/20, and looking back, that might be a wrong attitude. Not might be, I think it is a wrong attitude to have sometimes. There's so many different talented people on planet Earth, and I'm one of few who are lucky enough to be recognised as one. Do you know what I'm saying? And be able to earn a living from it. That's a real blessing.
Now, Getz, you're so thoughtful and humble in talking to me, and there's a very different character when you're making
ferocious.
How do you feel when you're making music?
That's a great question. Well, different beats make me feel different moods and so on and so on. But where I come from, the music that propelled me to where I am today, it was a great outlet for my rage at times. You know what I'm saying? An amazing outlet for how I felt at that time. And nowadays, obviously, I'm comfortable with a lot of other feelings, so I'm expressing way more and being fearless within what I'm saying on the mic and some of the genres that we're mixing and blending and
and I mentioned UK tour,
Yeah.
but as a Londoner, a
Yeah.
Newham boy, surely there's nothing quite like a London crowd.
I would love to cap and say Manchester's great. I'll be honest.
BBC London.
I got to be honest with you. No, London, the last day at London shows are amazing. I can't take away anything from London because that is hometown. But some of the other cities around the country as well, it's just amazing. It's just a different energy. It's amazing as well. So I don't want to downplay it, you know.
Can you believe he said that? Lovely chatting to Getz earlier, rapper and Londoner. Right, let's get a check on the weather now with Stav. Hi there.
Hi there, Riz. Thank you very much. Good evening to you. Well, we saw a bit more sunshine around today. The clouds tended to break up through the early morning period. Any mist and fog cleared away. And we had scenes like this across the capital, thanks to one of our Weather Watcher pictures there. Now, next few days, it looks like the wind's really going to pick up from the east. It will turn quite windy. We'll continue to see some sunny spells, variable cloud, but also 1 or 2 showers around, particularly into tomorrow. Now, a bit of cloud just rolls in from the east tonight, so it'll be a night of clear spells and patchy cloud. The odd low cloud and fog patch towards the northwest, temperature-wise, around 2 or 3 degrees, so feeling quite chilly. And the winds start to pick up around this area of high pressure. Now, Thursday is not going to be quite as windy as Friday, but still a breeze coming in from the southwest. That'll drag in more in the way of cloud. And as the temperatures lift through the morning, we'll like to see a few showers developing, passing showers, which will tend to move inland. And I think towards the end of the day, turn a little bit drier. There'll still be some sunshine coming and going. Temperature-wise, 10 or 11 degrees, but with the increasing breeze, it might feel a little bit cooler than that. That breeze continues to pick up through Thursday night, and it breaks up the clouds, so clearer skies, but it will be quite a windy night, particularly by the end of the night around dawn. So temperatures, although feel chilly because of the wind, a little bit higher because of the breeze, 4 or 5 degrees. So more isobars on the charts then for Friday around this area of high pressure. This low pressure system trying to push up from the southwest. It will arrive in time for the weekend, so we could see a little bit of rain from it. But Friday actually looks sunnier because of the strength of that easterly wind. There'll be a lot more sunshine through the morning and into the afternoon. Temperature-wise, pretty much where we should be around the time of year, around 11 degrees. But the wind will take the edge off the temperatures. But as we head into the weekend, it will be turning more unsettled with some rain at times and staying quite windy. Back to you, Riz.
Thanks very much, Stav. More, of course, on today's budget and what it could mean for you on the BBC News website. And a reminder, there's still time to nominate someone in your area who goes the extra mile for the community where they live in our BBC Make a Difference Awards. Thanks for watching and have a good evening. Bye-bye.